What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Game School Online, where we bring on professionals and break it down so that we talk to them and their techniques. And so, of course, bringing along with a special guest this time, Cornelius Dammrich.
Okay, so my name is Cornelius, and I'm from Cologne, Germany, as you might hear. And I was born in Berlin, in East Germany, and I'm doing 3D for close to 16 years now, I think. And that's all what I do all day long, pretty much, when I'm not in lockdown mode. And I do it for a living. I work at a small company that's called Elastique in Cologne, and they make visuals for car shows and interactive applications for VR, AR, and stuff like that. And it's pretty fun.
So one of the things, of course, that has been happening in the past few months, and I like to kind of tell and talk to our guests with the pandemic, of course, how have things changed professionally, personally for you? Over in Germany, actually, you're our first German that's been on the show for a while.
Okay.
So we'd love to kind of hear your insight over there.
Yeah, well, the government told us to stay inside pretty much, but people are ignoring it for some parts. So when I'm living on a big street, and when I look outside of the window, I see groups of people gathering and stuff like that. I stay inside for the most part and play video games. I have no project right now. I'm on vacation, and next week I will enter home office again, I think.
Nice.
Yes.
Perfect.
So I'm just working from home. The job I do is a part-time job, so I work 3 days, and 4 days I work on my own stuff. But right now I don't have any personal project or anything in the pipeline. I just finished a commercial job, a logo animation for a video game. But other than that, I just play online games. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you've already been groomed for this position that you're already in. With the contract work and part-time work, it seems like not too much of it have changed your process on dealing with clients.
Well, I actually rarely do clients. So like 2 years ago, I thought about, I was a freelancer for like 5 or 6 years, and I wanted to change that because it was stressful and you have all these uncertainties in your life. So about like, when will the next client come in and stuff like that. And so I thought I just try to find a regular day job and do that half of the time, and the rest I can spend on my personal artwork. And that works best for me, I think. So just do a 9 to 5 job 3 times a week, and then just do the stuff I do out of passion and not necessarily spend it on client jobs. I also have a Gumroad where I sell stuff, and the plan was that I have my day job and do content for Gumroad, or I don't know, Patreon or something like that. But that didn't work. So most of the time I just try out things, and these are my lab days. Mm-hmm. If you can call it like that. Yeah.
I always encourage in like hearing artists such as yourself that are at least investigating this path, because I really do feel, just having that independence opened up a lot of options, but there are like barriers of entry. Like there are tough walls that you have to hit to kind of get over it. And I feel like, such as yourself, people who do get over it have a lot more flexibility. And like you said, a lot more time to play games, which is one of the reasons why we went into the industry. But it becomes a luxury after becoming a veteran to find the time to play.
Yeah, I actually never worked on a game, like an actual real game. I never worked on one for some reason, and I'm currently picking up all the techniques that are necessary to do real-time applications, like all this reprojection from high poly to low poly and all that stuff. That's usually never necessary if you mainly use offline renderers, but for work I have to pick it up because we make like a lot of real-time applications with VR and AR, and now I'm sitting here and thinking, hey, maybe I should work in games. But it never crossed my path so far. So maybe one day. Well, then I can play my own games.
Well, I mean, you definitely have the skill set that I think any game company would love. I
hope.
I mean, like the technology, if anything, we're looking at your industry towards look dev as the star above to reach, right? And I feel the gap is getting smaller for both artists to kind of go in and out of each other's industry, and I look forward to that because I think a lot more talent will share more ideas, and I think that moves both industries forward. I really see hybrid. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, we had a lighting artist talking about, and he was about the same. I mean, he's been working in both game and visual effects companies like Digital Domain. And, you know, we were talking about how The Mandalorian is creating a hybrid approach, right? They use a virtual production set, and it's a lot of those two artists talking to each other to figure out how this old process of making movies, but using basically real-time applications to make it happen. So that's always pretty interesting. So I think at this point it would be great to kind of get your screen up. And actually, let's kind of go over some of your portfolio work. So, man, don't be shy about this. For those who don't know, I think it's
my website.
Yeah, it'll be great to kind of just show them the caliber and how thankful we are to kind of have you come on and talk to you, man. Your stuff is super inspiring, and at least for me as an artist, right? When I see a combination of all types of 3D art, like what you do with character and environment, I always get very jealous because I can tell that that takes a lot of work, but basically creating your own visual scene with no breaks whatsoever. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it up and let's look at some of this stuff.
Oh, shall I share my own screen, or do you want to show it in your stream?
What I can do is go ahead and start showing off some stuff, and let me try to connect on because we are doing like a workaround right now. So give me a sec, and why don't you just go ahead and go through some of your work, and I can get it hooked up so that we can show it better on my screen.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. So, as you can see, I rarely do. So this is all the body of my work, I think. Can you see that? Actually.
Yeah.
You still here?
Yes, I'm just setting up. Yeah,
okay.
We can see.
Just tell me when you're back.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just setting up so that we can actually see. So go ahead and just go through some stuff.
Okay, yeah. So this is the body of my work. It's it's not much actually. If you look at it, I mean, this one, for example, this is from 2011. That's 9 years ago, and I haven't done much since then. It's like only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, maybe 12 big pieces, or 13. There's some unreleased stuff still in the works. And yeah, so that's one of the things that might be a little bit special about me, that I take a lot of time to work on a single project. So it can reach from a few weeks up to several months to finish an image. For example, this one only took me, I think, 4 weeks, and then we have like the more elaborate stuff, like this one that took me 2.5 months, and this kitchen here, this was 7 months in total. So I like to spend a lot of time on a single image, and I rarely do animations. Most of the time I just do still images and try to perfect them to a degree that most people wouldn't reach. I don't know if I think many people could reach that level if they would take the time, but it's yeah. In the industry, it always has to be fast, and people have to push out progress so rapidly that in my free time I like to break these rules and try to find my own way to express myself with like taking the time and go over each detail as long as I want. And yeah, that's really fun for me. I think that's the reason why I do 3D.
Mm-hmm. Right now I have, I'm going through and showing a little higher res feed
yes.
on my side. So we're kind of going through it and looking at your work here. So do you mind, like, some of these projects definitely show the amount of time put behind it. And it is one of those things that we're reaching a point where tools are getting easier and accessible for developers to at least try to emulate what we call in the game industry AAA quality, right? Just the height of awesomeness, right? But the things that separates the good from the great is essentially looking at screenshots of your work, for example, and seeing that, holy crap, this would probably take me exactly 8 months, like you said, to recreate this scene. And some people just don't even attempt. And that is the difference, I think, nowadays. Even with tools getting easier and more accessible, it's time it's spent that people really appreciate, the like nooks and crannies of detail. Every screenshot that you have here, especially, which impresses me, and I'm sure a lot of your followers, is the care that you put into everything that you do. With that being said, do you ever start your project with a mindset of time blocking, or is it something like it's not done till it's done mentality?
Yeah, well, I got that advice from a good friend of mine, Ash Thorpe, and he said he always had like a roadmap, and he sets a date so he knows when he has to finish a project. But for my part, I never do that. So I just start. I have a thing in my head, or an idea, or a technique I want to try out, and then I just know the steps in between I have to take to go to the finished project, and these can take up from like only a few hours up to months at a time. So I know, okay, I have to block out the scene first, then I have to get in rough lighting, then I have to model everything and shade it, then I have to render it, then I have to do post work. And yeah, so that's the only roadmap I have. I never set fixed times. What I do sometimes is I don't like working during the hot summer, so I arrange things that I can avoid big projects during the summer because everything gets hot. I don't have AC here in my apartment, and it's like not a big thing in Germany to have AC. And yeah, so my room with all my computers can get pretty toasty, so I try to avoid that, and that's the only plan I have. and otherwise I just work from mood boards and stuff like that.
So we're taking a look at your astronaut scene here with the buildings.
Yes.
And the one thing that really strikes me is not just your techniques and your execution, which is impressive upon itself, but your ideas and your vision. I mean, this is like beyond 3D concepting, but do you start with any type of thumbnails or rough 2D sketch? How do you get started before you actually go into these?
So there, I have. So because I rarely do images, I have a lot of time to think about one image, and I have a Pinterest account where I collect stuff from online blogs. There's like one blog that's called Otaku Gangster.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically a Tumblr with images of, I don't know, random stuff. It's buildings, guns, cars, stuff from anime, everything. And I collect everything I like through that blog, or I have like a collection of blogs, and I just browse through them on a daily basis and save everything I like in Pinterest. And then at some points, like once a year or maybe twice a year or 3 times a year, I don't know, I go through that collection and try to make up an idea and for an actual project, and then I combine several of these moods into a mood board, and from there on, I just start thinking about that. Some of these mood boards are like 5-6 years old, and at some point in time, if they have grown to a level that I think, okay, now it's worth to make an image of it, I start building a scene around them. And that's the exact thing that went down with the astronaut and that in that alley with the orange and blue buildings. I just blocked it out. So I can't draw or anything. So I'm not a concept artist. I just use 3D. I use primitive 3D objects and place them around and play with super simple light. It's super fast, and it's all placeholder. And then I make up the scene and make a composition of light and shapes and colors, and try to figure out what works for me, what not. And that's usually the first step.
It's amazing, man. You definitely give
Thank you.
a 3D artist such as myself that isn't that good at drawing some hope.
I really, really suck at drawing.
Dude.
Like I just.
Well, we should have a suck off, man. Well, that doesn't sound.
Yeah.
Right. Let's see. I'm pretty sure I suck more than you at drawing, dude. But
yeah, I have so many friends that are in the concept art industry or work for Marvel and are really, really great painters and good at drawing, and I suck so bad at it. I like every 3 years I have this thing that I'm gonna try it again. And then I buy an iPad for like $1,000 and say to myself, oh no, I'm gonna learn it. Yeah.
I'm exactly the same way, dude. And the same people that pisses me off, I don't know how you feel about it, but like people who can do both really well.
I know a bunch of these people.
Oh my god, people, they scare me and they piss me off because one wasn't enough.
Yeah, exactly. Wait, I have to. There's Steam. Where's Steam? Steam. I have to exit Steam.
Oh, okay. You're starting to play game?
No, because like there's a pop-up coming from a buddy of mine who plays Steam.
No worries. Right now I'm just going through your portfolio work. One of the inspiring things that might be a new generation where not exactly he's not exactly a game developer, but Simon Stallenhag.
Yeah, right. It's the Simon Stallenhag, the Swedish guy.
The Swedish guy, right? And of course,
he makes Tales from the Loop.
Exactly, that became a new Amazon series. So
it started like a week ago, right?
Exactly. And I only went through the first episode. Awesome. It's like anti-Black Mirror, but very poetic, right? So I'm looking forward to working my way through it. But a lot of your work reminds me not of his style. You definitely have your own style, but like you have like a compelling story that goes along with a lot of your art, which I feel is very rare because it takes up, we're basically being jealous about 2D and 3D people that can do it all at the same time. But what's more important, I feel, is that artists that have the ability to tell a story within an image. And I don't think a lot of people have that skill set, such as yourself, that I can look at a screenshot from one of your work and be able to basically craft a whole creative world around that, which is what's so inspirational from Tales from the Loop, right? This guy is a concept artist, a really good one, but his pictures were so compelling that they created a whole series around it. And I want to see more of that from independent artists where their work is so great, where they're approaching you. I mean, have you been contacted by people? I feel like you're creating basically an IP at this point with everything that you're
Well, I wish that would be so. If anyone with power in the movie industry is listening, I want to do that. But no, I mean, there's a backstory and they're all connected. All the images I do, or at least some of them, are connected to each other. But it's nothing like, it's not like a strict story you could tell to someone. There's like hints and parts of it, but they are not connected in a way that you could form a story from it. So it's more like it's connected to the process I used to do these images, and because it takes such a long time, my life changes over time, and my thoughts change, and my mood changed, and all that is reflected through the image. So if I don't know, if I work on a texture and it takes me 2 weeks, one day I feel good and one day I feel bad, and all this is reflected through that texture, and I put it in there. If I make graffiti, for example, and sit days on it, and at the end, after day 4, I'm really annoyed by it because it's the same process all over again and again and again, and then I write, oh God, this is so annoying. Fuck this! I hate this. And then it's part of the texture. And and it's mood swings, stuff from my real life that annoys me, or that I don't find time to work on it, or I don't know. And then there's obviously like story elements, for the astronaut with the receiver of the phone in his hand, and the phone receiver is a part of 3 images now and has a special meaning. But I don't know if you could make it. I would need to write it up and make like a storyline from it. And I had ideas like that, but I'm not a good writer. Unfortunately, I can't draw and I can't write. I can't make 3D images.
I think so the way you're
if there's a writer listening who wants to help me with that, please reach out. I would love to. But yeah, so far there's not like a straight storyline that.
Well, let's just get Simon's Tale from the Loop book and see. I don't think there's writings in there. I got to check out that artwork that he put out.
Is it? I think it's like both of it, right? Is it like it's written and it has like a written component and a visual component? But I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, man.
I don't have it, sadly. I have to pick it up.
Honestly, I feel like one click away from this becoming on Netflix or something, because...
Oh, that would be so amazing.
I'm telling you, man, we're on our station right now, but yes, there is good art, but there's a difference with your art. And I think anybody that takes a look at it can tell there's a story. Even though you don't have it written down, you're definitely expressing it. And I think it's actually better for you to kind of leave it up for interpretation. There's enough hints for us to kind of form a story on our own, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I I don't know if I told the story, because the 6088 AD thing is like the first one that had like an elaborate background story, what is going on in this image. And it's like a gang fight, and in this fictionary city called Delpher, and Delpher is has like districts, and one it's like artists fighting against each other, and one district is blue and the other one is orange, and so you have these two gangs and they don't like each other and they try to kill each other. And then there is this astronaut who is like transported there for some reason. He touched the phone receiver in the image that I made before that, which is called 52 Hertz. It's the one with the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he touched the phone receiver, he was like teleported into that city. And now he has this NASA launch and re-entry suit on him, which is orange, bright orange. And of course, the blue people don't like that. And they see him walking down the alley and lurk on him. And that's actually also the reason why this image is called 6088 AD. Some people think it's like a date, mm-hmm. like a year, because of the AD. But it's actually the hexadecimal color code for the blue color on the buildings. And so that's like a pun, because it looks like a year, but isn't actually. And and then there's like a lot of detailed stuff and trying to imagine what life is there. And it's really hot all year. And if you zoom in, there's like the AC units that hang outside of on the walls of the buildings. They have names. One is called Fury. The other one is I think it's called Pienta 1000, which is like a friend of mine. And that's lots of details like that. And it also reflects in the graffiti.
Oh man, I'm telling you, dude. You have everything you need. What you just told me is so compelling. I mean, I'm seeing comic book series, I'm seeing short stories, I'm seeing all types of
Well, we can do that.
I love to play games, man. Just make a game already. Yes, so one of the you're one of the people that pissed me off because you're so good. But the other day we had an interview. I don't know if you caught wind of it or anything. It's called Bright Memory. But it's made by one solo developer, and it's on the caliber of basically AAA quality, right? He did everything, and he's only 23. And that's the new generation of artists. It's like they're going to make these games that you feel or used to take like 100 people and by himself. And a lot of it...
but there's like these genius people... I feel like every 10 years there's like someone who can pull off everything that the whole team does alone.
Yes.
And for example, do you know Coolguy?
Yes.
The French guy with the game with the HK project with the cat that walks around. It's just the same thing. It's just like one guy, and he saw an Alex Roman video and he thought, okay, I can do that in Unreal Engine, and bam, he did it. Mm-hmm. And it's just crazy good. And now he's making his own game with like a small team. And and before him there was another guy who's like crazy good. There's always like one Craig Mullins kind of person who just owns everything and is too good to be true. And I feel like this the time that has to pass between one great guy and another is getting shorter and shorter. So we have like one great talent every year now, pretty much. And they all get younger, because I'm 31 and I know people who are like 22 that are already better than me on a technical level. It's just, I think, why the hell? What are these people doing all day? I don't know. I can't. Like when I was 22, there wasn't even... Was there YouTube? I don't know, but it's it's not crazy how fast. Yeah.
Well, you're being humble, man. I put you in the caliber of these greats that you're speaking of, because the amount of time that you're putting behind these projects, holy crap, man. It's not just one. You have the discipline, definitely.
Yeah.
And so,
but after each piece, I need like a break of 3 months at least, and so it's not like easy for me to do this. It's always depressing, and I need a long break after that, and it's a lot of struggle and meeting high expectations, because I don't know. Nobody's like forcing me to do it, but I always feel like people expect me to be better and better each day and every time I put out new work, which is like super toxic in a way to think that. But it's
one up yourself every time.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I don't have to do it. There's nobody forcing me, right? But I pressure myself to do that, and yeah, that makes it difficult sometimes. So it's not like I'm like a magician. It took really, really much effort to reach that point that I can spend 2 or more months on one image, and it needed practice, to be honest. So the first image I did was like 1 week, then it was 3 weeks, then 1 month, and that went up to 5 to 7 months or something. So the next step would be, I don't know, a year maybe. I have no idea. I have an idea for an image that would take so long, but I'm not sure if I can start it yet, because it's it's just too crazy. Yeah.
Well, we are living in a crazy time right now with the pandemic, so it's probably forcing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a good thing. The government is forcing me to stay at home, so that's the perfect excuse to just start with it. And I'm thinking about it every day, actually, to be honest. And yeah, once I reach level 80 in Final Fantasy Online, I will definitely try to start a new project. Maybe, I don't know.
Is there and actually, if you want to start pulling up some of the because we're gonna take a little closer look at your work for Blitz in particular, but yes. I want to of course ask more. Basically, the conversation we've been having. It's like, is there a particular art style that you usually aspire to? I mean, I feel like you have some type of surrealism within your artwork, mixing a lot of present and futuristic elements to contrast.
Yeah,
super awesome.
The thing is, the stuff I like the most, I never reached it, because it's somehow the things I collect in my Pinterest are mostly photographs, and they are not as colorful as my work, and they're like super rough and toned down. And when I do try to achieve something like that in 3D, like this gritty and dirty stuff, it's always like super colorful and hyper realistic and looks great. Maybe it's the render engine I use, I don't know, but it's it never turns out the way I imagine it to be. It looks still good and I like it, but it's not in a way I would say that I prefer when I look for images of other artists. So if I could clone myself and my clone would do an image that's not connected to me, I would probably not put it in my Pinterest collection. Mm-hmm. That's what I mean, because it's like so different from the stuff I usually find appealing. Yeah, it's super weird, but I still like it. But it's like looking at the work of someone else for some reason. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, that's just how awesome you are. You haven't reached your potential.
Yeah, well, thank you.
I mean, you're already inspiring a group of people just to be you right now, and you're like, I'm not even me yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's super weird, and I mean, I think probably most of the artists you ask, do you like your stuff? Some will say no, and some might say, yeah, sure, of course, but it's difficult to get there. Way back in the day, there's like this phenomenon that you you make an image, then you like it, and 2 days later you hate it. And this time frame, these 2 days, that went from 2 days to maybe like 3 years now. So the stuff I did 3 years ago or 4 years ago, it's not on a technical level I would like these days, because it's just it's not good enough for some reason. I don't know. It's when I'm super critical when I watch my own projects and look at them, and then I think, okay, I would do this better, and I see details that nobody else sees. When you look at Blitz, for example, you see the whole image, and I see, this subsurface scattering on that edge is perfect because of reason X. I don't know, and so I'm not able to see my image as anyone else sees that. For some reason, because I did it, because I made it, and that can be hard, but I think with time that will change too. I don't know if you still hate your own work.
Oh man,
after so many years.
You're talking about your work, man. I'm my portfolio. I can't even go to it anymore because it's just like still outdated, and
but it's a sign that you grow as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a health thing.
I think that pushes you to points where you think, okay, I don't like it anymore. I can improve it now, because you see the mistakes you made, maybe, and somebody wouldn't consider them mistakes, but yourself, you're your biggest critique, right?
Mm-hmm.
And or critic. Is it critic or critique? Critique is the
critic. Critic is correct. Yeah.
Critic. You're your own biggest critic, and I think that can be unhealthy and healthy at the same time on an artistic level, at least.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So, what's your inspiration behind Blitz? We see your.
Can you see my screen right now?
Yes.
I'm turning the camera around it. Okay. It's super laggy. That's because it's so high poly. I can show you that, by the way. It's. I mean, you can't even see most of the mesh, and it's not really optimized. It's all high poly because I don't know. I have the VRAM, and optimizing it would take so much more time, so I just refuse to do it. So the idea is there's this it's like a combination of things again. It's before that, the image I did before that was 608880, the one we talked about before, and I for some reason lost the interest in doing whole scenes, like with a sky and a ground and buildings and people in it, and I just wanted to focus on some super realistic objects with no actual scene around them, just the object in black space. And there is this in Germany we have these science books for children. They are called Was ist was. It translates to what is what, and they always show these I don't know, a tank maybe that it's cut open and you can look inside, or a grenade, or I don't know, a fire truck. And it's super interesting to see like all the you probably know these there are Star Wars books who show that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen that? It's like an art book for Star Wars, and you open it and then you can see a Star Destroyer cut open on one side, and you can see all the chambers and the I don't know, the little guns inside. And this is this is super interesting for me to see like cut open objects, and I always wanted to do one of these. And then there was this Swiss artist H.R. Giger. He made the designs for the Alien movies.
Right.
You probably know him, right?
Yeah,
it's he won an Oscar in the 80s, or I don't know. And he's super famous, and he had one of these images that it's like a cut open gun, and all the bullets inside the gun were like little babies, and it's super creepy. And that actually inspired me to make this bomb. And I thought, okay, what can I do with this bomb? Maybe I put just a guy in it, and he's sitting there and controlling it, and he's living inside this bomb. And then I thought, okay, but what he needs entertainment, and so there has to be a screen and some place where he can sit or sleep or eat food and stuff. And then I came up with like and tried to design the whole interior with all these pipes, and now he's like this contraption in his nose that feeds him and gives him liquid, and all he's wearing is this jacket and some pants, some like boxers, and holding to this receiver. And for some reason, I don't remember why, there's also like bombs in it, like mortar shells and ammunition. And I think I added them because they just look cool. I have no idea why I put them there.
It's just protect yourself, man.
Yeah. It's yeah. I mean, and or maybe it's when like the thought, okay, maybe he will survive the impact of the bomb and then can go outside or something like that. I don't know, but yeah. And I started filling. So I built the exterior, and then I started filling it with tons of crap. There's like this old computer here from the early 90s. I don't know if you can see that. Mm-hmm. It looks like one of these cheap Micro Center computers for like under $500 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 CD-ROM drives, and and tons of detail like that. And yeah, that's what I spent a good part of 2018 on, I think. What, 2018? Yeah.
Well, let's say this, or let's kind of break it up in phases just to give an idea. So, pre-production, how long did that take? Modeling, I mean, what do you?
So I spent like on the whole image, the whole project took me 5 months, I think. Oh, so it's over the course of 5 months because I have a day job,
right?
And so I don't work
3 to 4 hours a day, or how long are you working every day?
Well, I think 1 hour during the week every day, and on the weekends 12 hours maybe. So it's something like that, yeah. And but at maybe there's like a week-long break in between because I don't feel like it, or I don't know, I don't have any idea, or I did one object and it doesn't look good and I have to redo it, and I don't feel like doing that right now. I don't know. And there's also a lot of trial and error in there. And yeah, for example, I think I spent close to 1 month on the shell alone, like the outer shell of the bomb.
Just playing with different ideas.
Yeah, exactly. Because I made it in Fusion 360. It's a CAD modeling software, and you can model really fast in it. And the thing is, when your modeling software isn't in the way of creating any longer, and you don't have to think about technical stuff. So, okay, how I fix this loop and how do I get an insert in that area or something like that. You can concentrate on the design aspect a lot more, and that actually makes it harder to come up with shapes and forms, because the software isn't part of the problem anymore. It's out of the equation, and then there's only artistic output. And you think, okay, now I have to deal with my own idea, and that can be, it can be harder than to think about technical problems in some way. And I had this a lot with the outer shell, because I wanted to fit in these tanks you can see here, and it's for like food and water and waste and stuff like that. And then because I felt like it had to make sense in some way, because people might question how the interior works. Yeah, and then the same stuff with that down here. And then we have this impact, the tip of the bomb, and will I be able to close it again if I want to? Is there something? Yeah, I think you can close it up still, and it looks like that. Yeah, and then all the interior as well. So that took a long time, I think. And there was no blocking with this one. So the whole blocking process I talked about earlier with the scene with the alleyway and the astronaut. It makes sense if you want to fix the lighting, but the lighting in this one is so super simple. It's just one light source and a little bit of fog and all the visible lights from the screen and the lamps. But other than that, it's not really complicated and there's nothing to block out really. I just had a height reference for the character and like a cylinder shape. So I can see, okay, where do I put them in the scene? But in the end, it turned out that it would be the easiest way to just put them in the middle and call it a day.
Calling it a day, this guy. Oh my God. I mean, I can tell just by looking at it how long it should take, and you're telling you're balancing your whole life around this too. It's just incredible.
The hardest part is if your friends call you and say, "Hey, want to go out?" And I was like, "No, I have to do this now. Sorry, maybe in half a year." So,
it's definitely a young man's game, and I feel like.
But it's getting harder the older you get.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, when I first saw this piece, I was so drawn to it because of just all these little hints that you're kind of putting into it.
It's super weird.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, how often do you see like an aerial bomb with a guy in it?
I love it, man. I when I first saw it, I thought it was a guy on a suicide mission or something.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But keep it that way. That's what I mean. You left enough there for interpretation that.
Yeah, I mean that's the interesting part, right?
Story, exactly. It's really cool. Man. So, like, as soon as you get out the mono phase, and since it's so high poly, what kind of cheats are you doing with texturing to get to where you need to be?
Well,
do you block in lighting first before you do that?
Yeah, well, lighting is an in-between progress. I usually lock the camera, so once I have a camera angle, I leave it at that and fix it. And lighting is, I just play around during the process when I change the textures or when I do the modeling first. And the lighting looks good with the modeling, but then I apply textures and see, okay, it's not perfect anymore, then I change it up. So that's light will change all the time, at least with that scene. And when I did the modeling, I think I did like 60% of the modeling and started texturing. And then after that, I did modeling and texturing at the same time, switching back and forth between them. The character was the last part, I think. Wait, you can disable that one. So I had this set up without the character, and then I focused on that. And what I did was, because this is not SDS modeling, no subdivision surface or anything, and usually do that, I use just procedural texturing methods like tree planar mapping and tileable textures. But in this case, I wanted to make use of Substance Painter for the first time for a project, and I unwrapped all of that. So even though you see they have a really shitty high poly mesh, I got it somewhere to work in RISM UV. You know RISM? It's best unwrapping software there is. And
it's like the only one at this point. I used to use Hedis.
Hedis, but it's super unstable for some reason.
Well, because it's made by one guy, and it's always embarrassing when I work at studios and can you order Hedis? And they send like a USB. I was like, oh my God, this guy. My company's not going to pay for a guy who's like custom USB. Yeah.
I started using Unfold 3D, and I think it's the same thing as RISM. It's just a different company these days. And as you can see, it's like super crappy unwrapped. So I have like I don't know, a dozen UV sets only for this arm. But what I did, I only did masks for so I think they combine actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you just collapse this arm down to one object, you would have one epic 8K UV map.
Mm-hmm.
And all I did was just put out masks for the edges and did the rest procedural in Octane in this in Cinema 4D. So there is no PBR workflow or anything. It's just masking, so putting out masks through Substance Painter. Because I didn't know Substance Painter well enough at this point, and I thought, okay, they have these smart masks, and I can make like dirty edges and edge wear everywhere where I want it, and that's good enough for me. So I just used that. And if you look at the final result of the arm, I mean, it perfectly worked, right? You have all these metal edges here and the stuff you see in between, like the I don't know how it's called, like the rough surface of the of the paint you see there. This is all procedural, done in Octane, and also the graffiti stuff. I did this in Substance as well.
Pretty slick, man. I mean, a lot of your processes where basically game techniques are aspiring to, like we're finally switched on to PBR, which you guys have been using forever, and we're more using tileable textures and blending textures instead of unique UVs now. So if you sit for a couple more years, just keep doing what you're doing, eventually we're gonna catch up to where you are. Because what we want is exactly your process. It's like look depth and the ability to kind of get results faster without going through, oh my God, I'm UVing everything, high to low res.
Yeah.
We're automating that stuff.
What is super funny, so many people hate modeling, like doing actual proper subdivision surface modeling and UVing it, and I really enjoy that part.
You do have to be some kind of sicko too.
I mean, doing UVs with RISM is so much fun. Actually, if you have a CAD model, fuck it. But if you have like a really well done model with proper loops, and you can just unwrap it and it works flawlessly, I love it.
Yeah, makes it a lot easier for sure.
Yeah, and it's really fast, and you get and then you make a bake down. You have like put it in Zbrush and make like, I don't know, little cracks in there and like, detail it and then make a bake down from it. It's super fun if it actually works. I struggled with the whole high poly to low poly bake down stuff for years. And now, because I did a few projects with that workflow, it works like a breeze. And I think the next big image I will make with subdivision surface modeling again, because it just, for example, here I have this image of a kitchen. This is all subdivision surface modeling. It took 7 months because of that. Mm-hmm. And after that, I thought, okay, there must be a faster way. And then I discovered Fusion 360 from Autodesk, and it's as I said, a CAD modeling program. It's way more faster, but the mesh you get is super shitty. Mm-hmm. So that's the contra on the contrapoint on that. And then you say, okay, well, I don't have to necessarily UV it, and I put just procedural textures on that. And the best thing would be a fast modeling workflow where you can have great UVs and PBR textures. That is the godly combination. But I don't have that for now. And what I think now is, okay, maybe I have to introduce like little parts of SDS modeling back into my workflow, because the textures just get better if you UV everything. And yeah, that's the plan for the next big thing, I think.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, man. A lot of what you're saying, let me switch back. Yeah, you kind of mentioned the Z word there, ZBrush, right? And I know you use it.
The Z word.
Well, the thing is, like, I've always, everyone uses ZBrush, but they've been introducing more like sub-D modeling, basically lower poly modeling, trying to make it the modeling. So it's not quite there yet. And every few often I get that itch is like, you know what? I'm going to make this model from scratch in ZBrush. And it's just not there yet. I go through that thing where it's like, I can do this. But then I was like, where was it again? And like my whole workflow is thrown off.
I heard the intention behind ZBrush, the UI and stuff is that people who draw can like
pick it up.
It's always if you have like a someone who can draw really good or sculpt really good in real life, and he never touched a 3D program, they always love ZBrush for some reason. But if you have like a technical director who worked with Houdini and Maya for years, I don't know, and you show him ZBrush and he hates it because it's not like parametrical enough and it's
not on the grid, all these
and it's all weird and like clunky and the UI looks strange, and I really don't like the UI of ZBrush, but it's it has its benefits, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for example, if I have like a hard surface object, I just throw it in there and make like the edges imperfect, and it's super powerful, I think. And then I just export it and use it as a projection, high poly projection model, and and I do the low poly UVs in RISM, and it works fine. I only use it for the details. I don't bake in it. I don't texture in it. I do my bakings. I do in XNormal and Substance Painter. That's usually enough. So there's no need to use ZBrush. But I think that would be overkill for my part because it's so hard to navigate and all.
I think I'm there with you. Like, especially coming from environment design.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the tools aren't quite there yet. And like the programs that you kind of mentioned have been actually a step in the right direction of being more, especially in games, environment has to be on the grid, right? And ZBrush doesn't have a grid system, which is a fail, right? So even though they're probably not aiming for that, but I think they would like to, because programs like Moto, Fusion, I feel like are kind of helping hard surface modelers with that especially. And it's something actually I've been myself very interested in, because Maya is not quite there with the ability of just 3D concepting, basically. Out of all those programs, do you feel like Fusion is probably the leading factor when it comes to just quicker 3D modeling for quick concepts? Or is there another program out there that you feel like...
there's a Moment of Inspiration 3D. That's also CAD modeling.
Okay.
I think CAD modeling in general is... you can be very fast with it. ZBrush is also very fast if you know how to use it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also people who are really fast with SDS modeling, right? But but like if you show it to a beginner and okay, you can do this and this, but you can do this and it's forbidden, then you get angons and triangles, and it's super confusing for someone who just started 3D, right?
Yeah.
And most people avoid it for some reason, because in the company I work for, I'm one of maybe 2 or 3 guys who really do subdivision surface modeling, like, and the rest is all they're animators and they do After Effects and animate in Cinema 4D. I'm a shitty animator, for example. I have no idea how that works. I mean, I can do it, but it's slower. And so I feel like people are avoiding it. And coming back to your question, I think it's the fastest way would be Fusion 360 and any other CAD modeling software that is easy accessible. And another point is Fusion 360 is free for freelancers, I think, or if you make under 100K a year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also a big plus if you have legal access to it.
And Fusion 360 is owned by Autodesk, right?
Yeah.
Okay. They own everything now.
Yes.
What was who's the guy that makes Nuke? They have a modeling program too. Was that the program that you were mentioning?
The Nuke guys, they have, that's the Foundry, right?
Yes.
Is it the Foundry?
Yes.
Yeah, they have Moto.
Yes, that's the Moto one. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and Moto is, I never used it. I know a guy who uses this. It's Tor Frick. You know Tor Frick?
Yes, I heard of Tor Frick.
He's also working on games, and he's super sufficient with it, and it looks really amazing. I never had the chance to use it though, so
yeah, I'm in that phase, man. I need to get in with you guys because the CAD modeling has been something that's been not exactly creeping up, but it's still the underbelly of 3D modeling, right? I see at least hard surface modelers who are very good and proficient are using some type of CAD modeling in the process.
Yeah, the thing is, there are some really powerful retopo tools out there, auto retopo tools for Max, and I think for Cinema 4D as well, and haven't used them yet. But yeah, so I think you don't even need to use, for example, what I do to get a decent mesh from a CAD modeling tool is I use another exporter, the one from Moment of Inspiration. It's the other CAD modeling software, or I use volumes, like make it to a voxel cloud and then break it down to a model.
I see.
And that's not ideal, but there's retopo tools that make auto retopo of the whole mesh, and it looks quite decent, even for hard surface stuff. So yeah, maybe that's the future. I don't know.
You guys are definitely leading the way. With I hope.
Stuff. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we kind of talked about the texturing process a bit using procedural lighting. I mean, how and we're almost near the end of the hour here. I just want to kind of touch about the rendering part just a little bit. So, man, how big are these images that you're pumping out here? 8K images?
Oh, no, they are bigger, I think.
16K.
Wait, so this one is the... No, this one is the final print.
Those Samsung TVs in the future?
No, it's just in case I want to print them.
Right.
And because, I don't know, it's so satisfying to have like a really, really big work file and you can see all the details in there. It's super satisfying. Mm-hmm. And the render times it takes a lot of time to render these. I think this one was 24 hours because all the stuff you see in there is fog. Is like actually in the image. There's not much post work or color correction going on here.
Nice.
It almost looks like this out of render. And
wow. So you don't do it in passes. You just render it all.
No, I do passes, but more like optional stuff. So, for example, I have object IDs for the jacket and the guy and for the hair and stuff like that. So I can like make it maybe a little bit brighter or tone it down and stuff like that. So I like options. Yeah, that's the only thing why I do it in passes. And I have light IDs and stuff. So usually I have like, I don't know, maybe 15 passes. Mm-hmm. And then, but they're more like just in case I need them and not mandatory for me to use. Yeah, and the actual resolution is it's 9,500 pixels high. Woo! And 6,717 wide.
All right, okay. I always like asking that because you never know how far is too far. But you're setting at least a standard for me now. It's all right. I got to do 10,000 pixels just to.
Yeah, if you can do it. I mean, there's like a technical limitation. You can't go like 20K. Then your video memory would be would just fill up, and you can't render it. But if your machine and your setup allows it, go as high as you can, because. I don't know, maybe in 5 years you will be famous and somebody wants to buy a print of one of your works for $10,000 or something, and then you say, fuck, why didn't I render it in like 10K back in the day? So that's always just like a a step to to make it future proof, I think. Yeah.
It's great, man. Looks incredible.
Thank you.
Well, I want to kind of switch over, actually, to you now. So let me kind of cut over. And thank you for spending the hour, man. I think we're going to talk a lot more. Your work ethic, especially, your ideas are truly inspirational to everyone that's viewing this, to myself. It's one of those things that, I try to talk to people and bring people on this guest show that is able to pass the ArtStation test, right? Basically, out of that mirage of art, good art, one just completely makes me stop and click on, right? And yours definitely stands out so much. And I think that even though there's a plethora of artists out there, if you can still stand out from the crowd, which is what your work is, that's an incredible achievement. And it's no easy feat, as you illustrated throughout this episode. It's
Oh, thank you so much. I never know how to react to something like that, but...
Well, I can't wait to watch it on Netflix. That's what I'm going to say. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Actually, there's... I don't know if you know this. There's from the 6088 AD project I made, the one with the LA and the astronaut, and there's a tutorial about this that you can get for $1 on Gumroad.
Okay, perfect.
And on YouTube, there's a breakdown video that is like 90 minutes long, and I go over the whole process in detail.
Oh, that's incredible.
What I did when, and you just have to put my name into YouTube, and you will find it. And it's super big, and I spent 6 months just on the cutting it, and it was crazy. And yeah, you can watch it if you're interested in that.
Well, definitely, man. And I'm going to definitely point all the viewers out there on link description and everything so that you go to the Gumroad and check it out. And
I will send you the links later.
Oh, perfect. So in the meantime, let's go over and switch to your webcam so people can see your awesome face. And this is the point of the time, actually. I just hand the mic over to you. You're kind of getting it started already, but how can people find you on Twitter, your social media, your ArtStation? This is a chance to get attention to it. Yeah.
My ArtStation, wait, I have to check what my ArtStation is. I wasn't there. Yeah. ArtStation is, Cornelius Dammrich or artstation.com/Zomtech, ZOMTECH. Twitter is Planet Zomax. I can send you the link later. And Instagram is Cornelius Dammrich. My website is corneliusdammrich.com. Yeah, and if you have questions, just email me, and check out my YouTube, check out my Gumroad. I have lots of free stuff on my Gumroad, and the biggest one is actually the cheapest one. It's $1 for a whole project. The scene files and everything, you can have them almost for free.
Wow, that's incredible.
Check it out. Yes.
Take advantage of that deal, people. You're crazy not to.
In rough times, maybe I lose my job at some point, so maybe support your German neighbor artist. I don't know.
Definitely, man. Well, I want to thank you for being on the show. And that is Gamesco Online. And check out all the links in the description. Well, all the links in the description. And be sure to talk to Cornelius, man. We'll be happy to hear from you guys. And that's it. See ya.
Thank you.